I am a top-tier plant expert. My customers do tend to develop rashes or get possessed by evil amulets. One time a guy ended up losing an eyeball. It's not ideal, but I try my best. To complete 100%, I'll need to use my detective skills to unravel the dark mystery threatening these lands. I'll accidentally join a wacky cult, I'll brew some spicy elixirs, I'll follow cryptic clues, solve puzzles, and use plants as my superpower. Welcome to 100% of Strange Horticulture. It begins in the fantastically unpleasant town of Undermere, in a plant shop. Recently, the shop passed to me after the death of my uncle. There is much to learn, but one thing is already clear. The rare and unusual plants that he stocked have their uses after all. I find pot plants are great for improving the vibe of a room, but I have a feeling we'll find weirder uses than that. Day one was a rainy Friday. I whipped out my magnifying glass to read a letter. Come to the library in Ambleside, and I'll tell you all about it. P.S. Give Hellbore a good scratch behind the ear from me. Is this Hellbore? That is a resonant purr. The letter writer Simone had some plant-related something rather to share with me, but I couldn't head to Ambleside just yet because I lacked the will to explore. I was, however, able to examine some of the plants on my shelves. The leaves are coarse to the touch. Blue flowers, light, airy scent. What is this? Oh, it's a picture of a type of flower? Why do I have that? A rising dread. I have a growing fear deep within me. I cannot let it take hold. My uncle's plant shop was indeed at least mildly weird. I next discovered a drawer full of goodies, an encyclopedia holding useful info about various plants, and a map of Undermere and the surrounding area. Holy moly. When I opened the map, I received some will to explore, filling up the yellow circle over there on the left. The library in Ambleside. There's Ambleside. Interesting, there's Undermere, that's where I am. The drawer also had a strange circular dubawaki featuring many symbols, some labels for the plants, and another letter. Dangerous plant grows sparsely in the hills to the northeast of Black Barrow. Keep it secret. I am gonna have to pay attention. Where the heck is Black Barrow? It's actually Back Barrow. I added an L in there for some reason. Here? Hills to the northeast? And it's true, I was gonna have to pay attention, as the game was dropping leads and hints and clues on me already. Paying attention isn't always my forte, so hopefully no train wrecks are on the horizon. I decided to use my newfound will to explore, as I clicked on the M21 square of the map and paid a visit to the hills northeast of Back Barrow. The weather changes fast out in the hills. What started as a grey morning has turned into bright sunshine. A good thing too, because it takes me several hours to find what I came for. By the time I'm done, the cloud is sweeping back over, a cloak of unwelcome shade. Oh, I found the plant. Collect. New plant acquired. What a majestic notification. And so I followed the advice of an anonymous note to collect my first new plant. Speaking of exotic plants, the beautiful world of Talos 2 has plenty of spicy fauna to collect on your quest to expand the frontiers of human civilization. Big thanks to Arknight's Enfield for sponsoring this video. Arknight's Enfield is a 3D real-time strategy RPG featuring strategic team combat, and excitingly, it's got automated factory building elements with which you can transform and develop the world. The immersive world of Talos 2 invites you to explore varied landscapes, each with its own missions, resources, and mechanics. But let's talk about the automated industry complex of Talos 2, because I do love a good factory game, and it's definitely a standout feature of Arknight's Enfield. With the AIC, you connect exploration, resource gathering, construction, and world reconstruction into a seamless automated loop as you link miners, refineries, and crafting machines together with transport belts and other logistics tools. What makes it even more interesting is that each major region has its own AIC plan. For example, Valley 4 focuses more on traditional industrial-style production chains, while Wuling introduces a very different approach by incorporating fluid-based systems into its factory design. Having to think about fluid flow alongside logistics and power distribution adds an extra layer of complexity that feels both fresh and satisfying from an automation perspective. As your factory grows, not only will you automate regional development for the betterment of humanity, it'll also strengthen your character. And by making the most of the handy blueprint system, your efficiency will be through the roof. Arknight's Enfield is available to play for free on PlayStation 5, PC, and mobile. If the mix of exploration, strategic combat, and factory automation sounds interesting to you, you can jump in via the link below and give it a try. Okay friends, back to Strange Horticulture. I went to archive the note, which now had a giant check mark on it, but then I wondered how much information I should be noting down. I decided to be thorough, and ended up with a rather long-winded label on the new plant. Dangerous, it grows sparsely, it's found northeast of Black Barrow. As I rearranged my desk a little, I discovered something strange. Underneath this note there were some buttons I can press. Oh, hang on, look. Clearly the scrap of paper was a clue, and surely it meant that the code was just 5 of the downward facing flower in a row. Surely. Alas, no. Obviously, I was going to need more clues before I could actually figure out the correct sequence of symbols. Over time, my will to explore had recharged, so it was time to visit the library in the town of Ambleside, where I met up with my friend Simone, who shares my passion for plants. She'd found a couple of book entries for me. Gilded Dendra info and the Wandering Bew. Lovely. Your lips and veins will turn black as the blood succumbs to Dendra's miasma, a sure and painful way to die. That was another tip followed through to its fruitful conclusion, and another letter in the archives, and it was finally time to actually serve some customers. Why is this bell flashing? Oh. I have a customer. Victoria Gray had a strange request. At night, I hear whispered voices too faint to hear clearly coming from the floor above me, but nobody lives up there. Oh dear. She knew what she wanted, St. John's poppy to help with this odd problem. But I had no idea what St. John's poppy looks like because I am terrible at my job. Thankfully, I had my book of strange plants. Let's just go by visuals. First, it's looking like this. Can be brewed to create a draft that can greatly improve the imbiber's hearing. The flowers are bright red with a yellow center. It's gotta be these, right? I had definitely found the right flower, so I handed it over to Victoria Gray, and having correctly served the customer, the St. John's poppy was officially identified. My reward was another book entry. The clavilium can be used to open a lock. I whacked a label on the red flower. St. John's poopy. Yellow labels can be, I have information on it. Red labels can be, that's its literal name. Well, not literal because in this case I wrote poopy because I'm hilarious. I rang the bell again and David Chafer showed up. I don't know why I was ringing the bell. Surely the customer would come and then ring the bell for my attention, but whatever. Bloody awful weather out there today. Good for the plants though, eh? Not all plants want this much rain. He's got a letter. Oh, he's the postman. He's not, I thought he was like a train conductor. We got a letter from Amos Duncan. Gosforth is a hateful town. He's coming on strong. Straight into roasting Gosforth. Amos was nearly killed in Gosforth, so perhaps his harsh words were warranted. On the northeast corner of the wood to the south of town, I sat and stared at a bright flower and tears flowed down my face, reminder that there is beauty in this world. South of Gosforth, but at the northeast corner of the wood. I tracked down the despicable town of Gosforth, I spied the woods to its south, and I clicked on the northeast corner of those woods, because I wanted the flower that brought Amos to tears. And so the Amos tearjerker was added to my collection. So it's still day one Friday. This is the miles. I've traveled 6 or 7 miles to Black Barrow, like 4 miles to Ambleside, 15 miles to Gosforth, all in one day. Very impressive. Maybe I had a gallant steed, or a spell of teleportation. Maybe I just had long legs. There we go, perfect label. Found south of Gosforth, made Amos cry. I slapped the bell to summon another customer out from the darkness. Gilbert Ames. Something's got those witches in the forest stirred up. Really? Apparently the witches weren't letting anyone into their forest, which had made old mate's trip longer than he'd been hoping. So you want to trade me Fennet for Lemon Dandy? If I go by this picture, it kind of looks like that, right? The book described Lemon Dandy as having curled leaves, like a peeled lemon rind, so that was probably the one. But before locking in my answer, I did some shelf rearranging. I gave Gilbert the dandy, and he slid back into the darkness like a big dingus. In exchange, I received a Fennet. I labeled the Lemon Dandy, which was officially identified now, but the Fennet I just received didn't have a checkmark in the encyclopedia. In fact, I didn't even have the book entry for Fennet yet. I decided to give it a purple label. Faye Swift showed up next, and she'd been having some spooky dreams. I saw a woman, her face hidden behind a mask, and next to her, a terrifying black skeletal creature. Apparently the black skeleton was laughing a sickly, horrifying laugh. Faye was tired of the nightmares and just wanted some sleep. She requested some forest camphor. I then noticed a bios button had appeared on the right, which I clicked on to discover some info about my current guest. Her portrait labeled her the psychic, so perhaps her haunted dreams were more than just dreams. Camphor produces a beautiful rounded dark blue cluster made up of many smaller flowers. Dark blue cluster. There was only one plant on the shelf that fit that description, so I handed it over to Faye and wished her good night. And of course, another plant identified meant another book entry for my encyclopedia. Identified 3 already. Popping off? I was in the flow of things now, and I was ready for another one. Nora Butterfield wanted a wandering bew. This fungus can move slowly in the dark. Gills on the underside of this mushroom form beautiful flowing lines. They are also quite hard and sharp. I had a couple of mushies on the shelf, but I wasn't able to get a look at the underside of either. But then I remembered I could use my microscope for a closer inspection. I learned these ugly shrooms are stinky, but these ones with the red warts were a winner. Not as spongy, in fact the undersides are somewhat sharp. And so the wandering bew was identified to round out a successful day one of horticultural shenanigans. By the way, I got an achievement, right? Handle your first customer. That was a long Friday, man. I went halfway around the world. I hit the end day button, and a deck of cards appeared in the void before me. I flipped over the first card. Row H, the third river. It started when she found something that she was not meant to find. A book, tucked away in a forgotten corner of the Ambleside Library. I wasn't sure what all that was about, but I was relieved when after hitting OK and beginning day 2, the card was now on my desk, ready to be referred to once I had an inkling as to what it meant. It slotted straight into the clues section of my drawer, which was a clue in and of itself. A clue identifying that it was a nighttime clue. The wandering view moved. It was there and it moved over there. Totally makes sense. If I trap it in between, it won't be able to move. All right, back to work. Isidore Burbage, bring me a sample of Apis demysis, and be quick about it. That damn cat is sending off my allergies. All right, bro. Burnside McGrumblebum here seemed incapable of looking on the bright side. Burbage is a rich man who inherited a fortune but never experienced the love of his parents. I'm not sure why I laughed at that. Dude, I don't have an Apis demysis in my... What? How am I supposed to help you with that? Can I explore somewhere? Is it called Backbarrow, not Blackbarrow? What the heck? I decided to go to Ambleside to see if I could figure out what Apis demysis was at the library, but that did not help. Sorry, I just went all the way to a town 4 miles away when you really wanted me to be quick. I mean, he's talking about his allergies, so the only thing I can think of is there something about allergies? Hang on, there's like the Latin names underneath. Gotcha. There we go. I had successfully tracked down Apis demysis, also known as Gandy root. I didn't have much to go off other than a sketch, but I soon narrowed it down, as there was only one flower on my shelves with a singular dangly bit sticking out. It's gotta be this one, right? Another successful plant identification. The postie returned next. Another day, another letter. Amos Duncan again. This time he'd found some handsome fungi in an old mine shaft at Hard Knot. After yesterday, I was now a believer that Amos's tips were always on point, so straight to Hard Knot I went. However, when I arrived at the tram tunnel into the mines, a gate was locked shut, barring my way. I read about the one that can open locks. Clavilium. The book taught me that claviliums have heart-shaped leaves. Those are heart-shaped leaves, right? I was a little thrown off because the encyclopedia said nothing about it having a blue flower, but it was the only one with heart-shaped leaves that I could see. So I used it on the gate and it was successful. Another plant identified, and inside the tunnel I found a whopping 3 fungi. Boom. 3 fungi. Hanging out and having a good time. I was next visited by Reuben Ward, a detective. I'm headed to Grisdale Forest investigating a possible murder. Oh dear. Grisdale Forest is the home of the witches, and Reuben had reports that their leader, the Arda, was dead. We learned yesterday from Gilbert that the witches weren't at their friendliest right now, and Reuben figured they were hiding something. I was hoping you might have some fox button that would help me win them over. An offering of fox button is considered by some to represent a contract of friendship. Interesting. Thick, shiny leaves grow in opposing pairs along the stems. So these are the 3 that I have with opposing pairs. It seemed the one in the middle had the shiniest leaves, and the shape of them matched the sketch in my book too. So I backed that logic and handed those over to successfully serve Reuben and identify the fox button. Victoria Gray is back. I was able to make out the whispered voices last night with the help of St. John's Poppy. There's a medium using the room, illegally I might add, holding midnight seances for gullible grievers. Goodness me. She wanted a plant that she could use to scare the medium away, because Victoria is strictly anti-squatter and anti-charlatan. As they burn, they let out shrieks. Goodness gracious. Okay, so bushy blue. This is the only bushy blue one I have. Yeah, apparently the harlequin blue shrieks horrifyingly when you burn it, so that would hopefully get the job done for Victoria. Meanwhile, my lineup of identified plants was growing nicely. I was next visited by the hooded Bethany Coleman. You may have heard the rumors that our Arda is dead. May Arduina bring her spirit peace. You're a witch? The nature of her death is unusual. Bethany is indeed a witch, and those of the sisterhood usually don't seek outside help, but apparently they were somewhat desperate. So the witches are gonna let me in, huh? Mary's breath. Wide waxy leaves. I had 2 unidentified plants with wide leaves, and after some closer inspections, I saw only one of the 2 had veiny leaves, like the sketch. Also, it straight up said the leaves were waxy, so that was a slam dunk. I used the Mary's breath to bind myself to secrecy, and at that point, the witch was willing to deliver her letter. We have failed in our duty as protectors of the forest. Our secrets have been stolen, and the Arda has been murdered. So that confirmed it. The sisterhood was in shambles. But now that I had this letter, I was able to visit. Deep in the Grisdale Forest, a mile from the lake shore across from Torva. Gotcha. I found Torva on the map and clicked on a forest square on the opposite side of the lake. As I entered the forest, the witches stopped me. But after I showed them the letter, their hostility cooled, and they led me deeper into their territory. Lying on a table draped in silk is the Arda. There is not a mark on her, but her open eyes are black. Her mouth, her veins, her hair, all black as a raven's wing. Didn't I read about a plant that does that? To solve this mystery, I was going to use the wren plant, which can detect the presence of poison. Unpleasant to those who have known death and sweet to those who have not. My character's known death because Who someone died and left this to me? Who was it again? I don't remember. Clearly I cared a lot about them. My uncle died at the start of the game, so surely the wren plant would smell unpleasant to me. Scratching at the back of my throat is unpleasant? I think it has to be this, right? This has to be the wren. Nice. Identify 10 plants. Lovely. I extract a sample of the arter's blood and introduce the wren, and my suspicions are confirmed immediately. The leaves of the wren turn black, which can only mean one thing: gilded dendra poisoning. That's right. As soon as I gave them this information, the witches hurried me out of their territory, but at least they sent me on my way with 2 new plants for my collection. And I must say, I was finding it quite satisfying systematically following hints and identifying plants. But now Mr. Burbage was back, and he was even grumpier than usual. I'm this close to reporting you, half-wit. The last plant you gave me made my skin itch furiously. I'll have your little shop shut down and torn to the ground if you don't make this right. This was the first situation in which I could choose between 2 plants to give to this angry dingus. I think you used it wrong. Care must be taken, as the rough leaves can be an irritant. Sounds like he rubbed the rough leaves on his skin like a dingus. I probably should have explained how to properly use the plant I'd given him the other day, but the past is the past and Burbage was now itchy, and I had to choose between giving him Butterdale or Meek Dew. The dark leaves can be stewed and mulched to form a poultice. It may be a pleasant looking plant, but touching the leaves against bare skin will result in painful sores. Meek Dew will make him even more rashy, but he reckons he can shut down my shop. He does look like a bloke that could shut down a shop. I decided I did not want to enrage a vindictive wealthy person. I figured some soothing Butterdale was the wise choice. So I tracked down dark green leaves in the shape shown in my book's sketch. Does it smell buttery? It smells buttery. Okay. I'm just gonna give him the Butterdale so that he can get soothed. Go on, Burbage, tend to your rashy sores, and please don't shut down my shop. Hopefully that won't give you a rash on your butt, old fella. Day 2 was done, and it was time to rest my weary head. Another nocturnal clue. North of Hawkshead, east of Lowick, west of Rusland, south of Crinkle Crags. The book both fascinated and terrified her in equal measure, and after studying it for some time, she reached a decision. She would never use the power she had discovered. She would hide the book where it could never be found. That was a continuation of the story begun last night. A girl had found a troublesome book and chosen not to use its power, but instead she hid it away. I'm pretty sure I can solve these clues. I had initially thought I would need multiple of these clue cards before I could figure anything out, but now things had become clearer to me. It means row H here. The 3rd river. There's the 1st river, the 2nd river, the 3rd river. Here we go. This is gonna solve the clue, right? Yep. It dematerialized. A dead deer in the river, yellowed bone protruding from its matted hide and rotten flesh. Death for one provides life for many. I'm getting a plant out of a dead deer. That was an achievement to solve my first clue card, and another plant on the shelf. My second clue clearly related to the map as well, but I needed to wait for my will to explore to recharge. A tip popped up explaining that watering my plants recharges that will quicker, so I whipped out my watering can, and before long I was ready for another trip out of town. East of Lowick, so on this side of the map, west of Rusland, so it's got to be in column 17, and it's north of Hawkshead, but it's south of Crinkle Crags. So it's got to be E17. Crinkle Crags is here, Hawkshead's here. Yeah, okay, E17. Boom. This led me to a grizzled old man who seemed a little crazy, but he pointed me towards a couple of new plants. Wilbur Miller showed up, and I was beginning to discern when customers were pertinent to the main story and when they were just some random buffhead. Wilbur was definitely just some random buffhead who wanted a plant to help with his memory. It may be too late for you, old fella. The leaves curl around delightfully. Yeah, it's got to be this one, right? And made Amos cry? Yeah, this is the one Amos found. Amos did indeed find the Lady of Summer, and now Wilbur was going to munch on it to help with his failing memory. Speaking of Amos, the postie was back with another letter. The cold is too much to bear beyond the gap. Amos emails me every day. Amos told me Great Gable was rather cold, but perhaps I could withstand the cold with the right plant. It was a mountain 899 meters above sea level, and since Amos had mentioned it, that was enough for me. Off I went. As warned, I encountered bitter cold, and I needed to turn back, unless I could whip out a Brimlock. Unless Brimlock has a warming effect that protects against the cold. When the conditions are right, it produces small yellow flowers. The leaves are waxy and tough. There were no plants in the shop with small yellow flowers, I guess because it wasn't cold enough for them to show. This one seemed to have the right leaves, and they were waxy apparently, but it said they were smooth, not tough, so I wasn't convinced. I decided to leave for now, as I wondered if perhaps I hadn't found Brimlock yet. I'm gonna keep an eye on this for when I do find some Brimlock. I could be wrong.
Next up, Norman Lee.
You got some eyeshadow on, dude?
Norman just wanted to get rid of a cursed plant.
It does look kind of cursed.
Simone Green, the librarian from Ambleside, was back, and she had a favor to ask.
I've been burning the midnight oil again and could use some common trouse, and I know where to find it.
Apparently common trouse grows on red pike, so after she left, I immediately whipped out my map and headed off to climb another mountain. Despite only being 73 meters smaller than Great Gable, this mountain was not deathly cold. In fact, it was a pleasant trip with a majestic view, and I found the plant in question no worries. I labeled it and slapped it on the shelf in preparation for Simone's return in a couple of days. My next visitor was a fascinating character.
When you work with the occult, I find it pays to uphold a certain image. Excuse me?
Verona is an expert scholar regarding all things occult, and she didn't necessarily have her own powers, but she wanted to appear like she did.
Long story short, I may have threatened to turn a small boy into a toad, and the little bugger called my bluff. I can assure you he deserves to be turned into a toad.
I sadly had no plants that turned people into toads, but shimmerlung plants burn brightly and noisily, and that would serve to help Verona pull off a sufficiently magical looking spectacle.
The flowers grow wrapped in large, ridged leaves. These flowers are wrapped in leaves, and they've got stiff ribs. Is that another way of saying ridged? Yes. Boom.
Ruth Douglas showed up next, and she couldn't quite remember the name of the plant she wanted.
Something started with M, and you shouldn't touch the leaves. Oh, it's the meek Jew. It's probably meek Jew.
It was definitely meek Jew, but I had a tough time figuring out which plant on my shelf was meek Jew. There were a few with somewhat similar flowers, but nothing seemed to reliably match the sketch, so I spent quite a while baffled.
Do I have this?
Until I gave in and clicked on the hint button.
From the description, it sounds like they want meek Jew. Yeah.
So that was not helpful. And then I finally read the book entry more carefully to realize meek Jew didn't have a flower with big petals. It had flowers made up of many florets. The sketch in the book was of a single floret. With that piece of info, it wasn't so tricky. And that is why you should always read thoroughly.
Another clue? Another clue? Oh, someone ate this clue. Who ate the clue? Maybe that's the shore of the land, or the border, or a river or something. Time passed, a year, and then another. The book remained hidden, but out of sight did not mean out of mind. The book was what her thoughts settled on when she rested, what she brooded over when she did her chores, what she pictured when she dreamed. She's been ensorcelled by this book.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was an evil book.
Let's have a look. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the X is there, so here. Boom. Easy.
2 more plants for my ever-filling shelves. Reuben Ward was back to report that the fox button hadn't helped him make any friends.
The sisterhood still refused to speak openly with me. They spoke to me. Not that I have the time to pursue it properly. I'm rushed off my feet this week. There's been a body found at the Swinside Stone Circle, and apparently it's a grisly one.
Another day, another murder. But at least this request was easy.
Fennet, huh? I'm pretty sure I know what Fennet... This is Fennet. Lock it in, bro. I don't even have to think about it. Bomb.
Schaefer was back, but the letter wasn't from Amos this time. It was from the occult expert Verona Green, who had a tip about a plant she'd spied on a recent trip.
Northeast of Rusland in Grisdale Forest.
I wasn't sure which map square that'd be, but I tried this one first. Sadly, no luck. The witches shooed me away and I wasn't able to claim the plant. Faye Swift returned to tell me the camphor had helped with her sleep, but her dreams were stronger than ever.
The woman in the jade mask appears in my dreams every night. She screams at me, but I do not know why, and behind her, that presence is always there. Dark and dreadful.
These dreams felt like a warning, but she couldn't comprehend it clearly.
Some part of me wants to stare down that abyss, but I'm afraid. Maybe the woman in the jade mask is the woman who found the book, and the weird presence behind her is something to do with the book. Enhance psychic abilities, strengthening the clarity of visions, okay? Or Candlewood provides a shielding effect, protecting against all manner of afflictions of the mind. Let's empower her to be a better psychic, so she can figure out what these visions mean. It may also send her insane. But if that's the case, my bad.
Instead of shielding her from the disturbing visions, I primed her to see them with even more clarity. Hopefully that doesn't backfire. Margaret rambled about her visit to Undermere and how much she loves plants. She then invited me to visit the library at her castle.
There it is, Sizerg Castle. Let's go here.
This was a whirlwind visit, during which she gave me a couple of random plants and a book entry from her library. Thank you, random woman. The next bloke was efficient with his speech.
Mushroom, red spores, moves in the dark.
Up until this point, I'd been assuming that identified plants would never be reused. Not so. It was time for the Wandering View to shine once again. Selena Scott here offered up some gossip about Black Combe being haunted, and she asked for some stinking mount cap. But I didn't have a stinking mount cap entry in my encyclopedia.
Wait, why did she say stinking mount cap and then she said sunset mount cap? I'm so confused.
Either way, no mount caps were in my book, but I only had a few unidentified mushrooms on the shelf, so surely I could figure out which one was which.
This smells strongly of soured milk. And she said stinking mount cap. Do I risk it? I'm gonna risk it. Nailed it.
And I figured I better go see if Black Comb really was haunted.
I see a pit full of skulls, some deer, fox, badger, and some human. I wish I had not come. Oh dear. Oh, that just gave me a bunch of rising dread. There's a skull symbol. Do I just die if that fills up? I need to avoid going to scary places, I guess.
Yeah, on second thought, I guess when someone tells you about a haunted location, you should resist your instinct to go there immediately. Another night, another clue, and more of the story of the girl and her evil book.
At 15, her mother, strong, dependable, loving, was struck down by typhoid. The girl drew inward as her father turned to drink. In the castle to the northwest of the abbey. There's an abbey and there's a castle to the northwest of it, probably here. 3 miles to the east, so here? Yep.
And that's how a nocturnal clue helped me steal mourner's flowers from some dude's grave. I should mention, I was occasionally petting Hellbore the cat, because of course.
Faye Swift, what have you done to me? I see the woman in the jade mask everywhere. Oh dear, maybe I shouldn't have done this to her. And that creature that stands over her shoulder, I almost feel like I can sense its desires. It is afraid of the sisterhood, that much is clear. It will lay waste to them. Oh, so there was this weird skeleton man that killed the Arda? So much death, but it can be avoided with Arduina's protection. She's nearly gone insane, but I used her to get some good information. The weird evil thing she's seeing is trying to kill the witches.
Now that I'd used her to get information, it was only right that I find her a plant to calm her nerves.
Those leaves certainly look like those leaves. Says it smells wonderful.
It seemed to fit the bill, and yes indeed.
Go and worry less, my friend. Sorry for using you for information, but it was good information.
Simone visited, telling me of a strange man she met on the road who wanted to meet me. She gave me vague directions as to his whereabouts, and she requested the plant she asked me to get a couple of days ago. I grabbed the common trouse off the shelf for her, and then examined the note she gave me about the weird man.
West from Sedberg, possibly near to the source of the River Winster.
I found the River Winster, I worked out where Sedberg was, and it seemed pretty clear where I needed to go. And so I successfully tracked a strange man.
The hermit's camp is easy to find, nestled between 2 boulders above the spring.
But he wasn't home, though he had left a clue explaining where he'd gone using some sticks. Down 2, right 3.
So down 2, across 3, here. The camp at the Winster Spring has led me to another camp of sorts where I am greeted by an eccentric man. Oh yes, yes, ho 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 ho. Santa.
The crazy Santa hermit gave me a strange looking glass, and then rambled about red, red, red.
Ho ho, it's no use to me anymore. Ho ho, no use. Don't forget the red, the red, the red, the red. Ho ho, ebony.
The item he gave me was quite extravagant.
This is quite the duberwacky. It's got a gauge on it.
He also gave me a letter featuring several misspelled words. But basically it said, if you activate the looking device using a red ebony plant, it can see things that are invisible to the naked eye. Conrad Stanway showed up next, and he told me that he and his chin were as good as dead, and he wanted some Caballia for his grave.
It's another one that I don't know what it is. What?
I thought perhaps Caballia was the Latin name, or maybe an alternate name that would show up in the encyclopedia description, but I flicked through my whole book to no avail.
It's possible I have the Caballia here and I just don't have the encyclopedia entry.
It wasn't only possible, it was likely, and so I began closely inspecting every plant. Conrad said it was rare and beautiful, so if the close inspection text matched that, then I might be onto something, but no. I then concluded that I needed to persevere getting to Great Gable, as I hoped my exploration leads would help me find something Caballia related, and so I once again climbed the mountain.
Grimlock has leaves like this, and apparently they're waxy and tough. This is smooth waxy? Like waxy? I mean, smooth can still be tough. I think this must be Grimlock. Okay, it is. Good.
The word smooth had thrown me off earlier, but it's true. Smooth doesn't mean not tough. Anyway, having figured out a way to survive the deadly cold, I managed to track down the mountaintop flower, but I didn't get any Caballia info. Thankfully, I had one more lead. You may remember Verona's letter about a unique plant in Grisdale Forest. I'd assumed I couldn't get to it because of the witch's defenses.
What if I just go to Rusland? I visited 20 map locations for an achievement. There's nothing in Rusland except a church.
I watered my plants to accelerate the recharging of my will to explore.
Let's just try northeast of Rusland again. Maybe here? Oh, I was just going to the wrong tile before.
Yeah, it was just the tile directly northeast of the town. Not that complicated. But the witches did indeed waylay me on my way there.
Suddenly, I find my way blocked by 3 women wearing green cloaks and holding short elm bows. Nobody may wander freely throughout the forest by order of the Ada, says the leader of the trio.
That witch with the glorious deep voice thought she'd shut me down, but I had a trick up my sleeve.
I'm fighting the elm bow witch warrior dinguses. Mellow glow. The mellow glow can allow a person to pass unnoticed.
So I wasn't gonna fight, I was gonna disappear. And mellow glow is thorny, so it wasn't too hard to figure out what I was after.
I sneak past sneakily. Ah, and then it told me about the Cabalia. Perfect.
And that was, of course, yet another plant acquired. At last, Conrad with the chin would be able to find peace in the afterlife, as the Cabalia didn't take too long to identify, thanks to its unique petals and stamens. At least I think those bits sticking out are stamens. I don't really know anything about flowers. Anyway, go forth and die, Conrad, and your chin.
Alright, we're schmoving. Oh, unknown. Jade Mask. Your reputation is growing, horticulturalist. I hear you are the person to come to for plants that are difficult to acquire. Is that the Jade Mask that woman, the psychic, was seeing? My head feels like it's been torn in two lately. I'm looking for some hop heart.
The girl with the jade mask was in my shop, but where was the handsome black skeleton demon thing she likes to hang out with, according to Faye? I then got distracted because I realized my list of character bios had filled up quite nicely. Apparently, smoking hop heart gives pain relief, and apparently hop heart has firm leaves and blue flowers.
Oh, this was the one that had firm leaves, right? Stiff leaves, yeah.
And so I helped the girl with the jade mask out, even though she's probably in cahoots with a big skelly weirdo.
Okay, well I've just helped out the Jade Mask weirdo. I don't know if that's good or bad.
My occult scholar friend showed up next.
Ruben Waters called on my unique expertise to aid in his investigation at the Swinside Stone Circle.
She had considered telling him to suck an egg, but ultimately she decided to help.
He must be desperate if he's coming to me, and I'll bet they've found something juicy down there. Signs of ritual sacrifice, maybe. That's just juicy stuff, isn't it?
She wanted some witch fig to take with her, which has a few useful applications, including detecting the presence of certain compounds.
Similar leaves to the fever kiss plant.
That was the only bit of info I had to help me identify the witch fig. So I of course flicked over to the fever kiss page and discovered it has red berries. That meant the fever kiss was easy to identify. And now I was looking for a different plant with similar leaves.
This one has similar leaves. Yeah, all I have to go off is that it has similar leaves to the fever kiss. This is definitely the fever kiss. This has got very similar leaves and similar berries. They're just yellow. I think it has to be this. Yep.
That was some wonderful bush-related deduction. No one can deny.
So many labeled plants. Mr. Grumps is back. Is he gonna be happy? I never see anybody in your shop. It's a daily surprise to me that you're still in business. Thanks, mate. I need some Bishop's Parasol for a work-related matter. Really? The underside seeps a milky fluid that can be consumed for stomach pain.
So old mate needed some milky mushroom for his work-related stomach pain. What a big idiot. It was easy to find though. These red mushies have a viscous white liquid coming off the bottom of them. That sounds milky to me.
What's going on with these murders though? We've got a witch murder and then we've got a secret stone circle something or other.
I claimed another sleepy time clue, and the story of the girl and her book continued.
Not long after the girl left home. So she's 15 and her father's abusive. Her father wept, but he was so caught up in his own grief that he let her go and did not look for her.
The clue read, the old man of Coniston looks out across the lake with blind eyes. His mind wanders with the current, floating gently southwards towards the fork.
Oh, Coniston Lake, here we go. Old man looks out across the lake with the current, floating gently southwards towards the fork. This fork?
Yeah, that fork. And another clue knocked over resulted in 2 more plants. Eleanor Bramer visited to tell me about a plant in the salt marshes, and she left me a little map to help me find what she was talking about.
Here we go, here we go. What on earth have you drawn? That is the ocean, I would say. Here. It's here. Oh yeah. Here? Yep.
I arrived in the marshes where the air was thick with flying, biting insects. If only I had some blue winter to keep them at bay.
It's cool when you go out on adventures, sometimes you need to use plants to like get through the situations. It's like the most superhero horticulturalist kind of approach. Blue aloe or blue winter after its cool blue-gray flowers. It's gotta be this, right?
I quickly perused my other unidentified flowers, but this was the only logical choice, and so I applied its leaves to my skin to repel the insects of the marsh.
At length I come across what I wanted and I hurry away, okay? We got the plant as well. Ooh. Thorny and red.
Bethany Coleman arrived to tell me the witches were unsettled after hearing Gildedendra had poisoned their old Ada, and their new Ada was panicking.
I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but one of the sisters has gone missing. A runaway called Thea that we took in a few years ago.
They wanted a Jacob's Worth plant to help find the runaway witch. Meanwhile, I couldn't help but think it's a bit suspicious that this girl ran away right after a murder.
Unusual flowers, but it's the leaves that have the most interesting properties. They point the way to any person you have lost. The leaves seem to have a mind of their own. Yeah, because they point after lost people. That's got to be it. Boom.
I feel like a lot of the plants in this game are overpowered. The next woman wanted an ornamental plant with curled leaves and a dark blue flower.
Dark blue, I mean those are sort of curled leaves. I don't know if that counts as curled leaves, but this is all I got. Uh-oh, that's the first time I made a mistake. That's how you get more Rising Dread. If you fail 3 times in a day, you just die?
I'd been looking exclusively at my unidentified plants, but there was no reason it couldn't be one I'd already identified. Sure enough, the Lady of Summer plant fit the bill. And then came a big weirdo named Ennis Aylford.
We've had our eye on you for some time now. Really? Who's we? Join us. Huh? Praise the Dendru. What do you want about, bro? I represent a group called the Seeds of Redemption.
The Seeds of Redemption had strong cult vibes. They gave me a test.
Let us know we can count on you by leaving a single St. John's poppy flower outside the Sad Gill Church before Friday. Do not make the mistake of ignoring us. Praise the Dendru. What the hell, dude? I'll praise the Dendru. Why not? Where's Sad Gill?
And so I went to Sagil and left a St. John's poopy at the church there to let the Seeds of Redemption know that they could count on me.
I think I just joined a cult by contributing a poppy. But it had to be done.
I could always betray them later. Verona Green returned with a report about the Swinside Stone Circle murder, and she didn't say much except that it was indeed a grisly one.
I have the beginnings of a theory, but I'd like to run some tests on a sample of the gilded dendra.
Even touching the gilded dendra will cause pain, and apparently this bush here made my hands ache, so I handed it over for Verona to study. Anne Wood's aunt had died recently, and Anne had been sifting through her possessions.
In a forgotten corner of the attic, I found a coffin. More unusual still, it was bound by strong vines. So strong that I cannot cut through them.
She wanted some royal gens to help her get through the vines.
One of the few known ways to release the bind of swift snare is to apply a paste.
I was looking for kidney-shaped petals, and I only had one plant that fit that description, so I handed it over.
Wonder what she's gonna find in the coffin. A vine coffin. Definitely nothing weird, right?
And with that, day 6 was complete.
Another day, another dollar. Before she left, she returned to her hiding place and carefully retrieved the book, her excitement building as she did. She couldn't articulate what was so alluring to her about the book, but by now it had become an obsession.
It sounds like Bilbo or Smeagol with the One Ring.
The evil book is taking over her heart. 5 miles south of the tallest.
That was what my new clue said, and my guess was the tallest meant the tallest mountain. Scaffold Pike was the tallest at 978 meters, so I went 5 miles south from there.
Okay, I got it wrong? Dude, how did I get that wrong?
After watering my will to explore, I found my answer.
Oh, wait. 5 miles south of the tallest but one. Does that mean the second tallest? I didn't read that. Why did I not read that?
Bowfell was the second tallest at 902 meters, so I tried the 5 miles south thing again, and successfully caused the clue to dematerialize as I claimed another plant.
Look at that. That's a big chonker.
Anne Wood was back, and she'd successfully removed the vines from the coffin, but there was nothing inside except dust.
At least that's what I thought at first, but when I looked closer, I discovered a golden amulet embedded in the grey ash. On the back of the amulet is an inscription that says, "With Solomon's scepter I awake." Also known alarmingly as Hell's Gate. Oh dear. I think you're gonna summon a demon, dude.
I'm not sure Anne knew what she was getting herself into, so as a responsible horticulturalist, I knew I had to warn her.
Here you go. Go summon a demon. I wish you the best with your demon summoning. I'm sure you'll be back tomorrow.
Okay, so that was less of a warning and more of a push off a cliff. Mr. Postman delivered a rather short letter.
This is a weird letter. Kentmere Eye. Is that a location? Well, there's Kentmere, but what do you mean by eye? I'll just go to Kentmere and see what happens.
What happened was, I had a lovely time visiting Kentmere, enjoying the sights, but I found no reward. I wasn't sure what the Kentmere Eye letter was getting at, so I left it in my drawer for now.
Well, this is getting interesting. I was able to confirm that it was indeed the gilded dendra that was used at the Swinside ritual site. That's a worrying sign. And it can't be a coincidence that the very same plant was used to poison the Arda.
Yeah, this is giving serial killer vibes for sure. Verona wanted some maiden sorrow to help give her mental clarity for the investigation.
The flowers droop mournfully, but it's got thorns along the stem. You're droopy and thorny. Boom. Oh, red ebony. Blood has been spilled over this plant, which is where the red part of the name is believed to come from. Since, confusingly, the large flower is in fact blue.
You may recall the weird looking glass needed red ebony, and now I knew that red ebony featured a large blue flower, and I had a large blue flower on hand to try out immediately.
Oh, this is the red ebony. Because it worked.
That was an achievement, and now the looking glass could see the invisible.
Oh.
Except the buttons on the desk being lit up wasn't exactly helpful. I began looking at every random thing I had, and I soon saw some sneaky text on my map.
Ooh. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff on my map. Elder Finium grows here. Alright, let's go. Whoever wrote on my map has been very helpful.
Agreed, very helpful indeed, and so Elder Finium was added to my collection.
Ruben, how goes your investigation, sir? Looks like I'm gonna have to make a trip to Black Comb.
Apparently there was a piece of slate at the Swinside murder site, and apparently Black Comb is the only place you'd be able to get slate from. He wanted eyebright for his overnight journey into the hills, to help him see in the dark.
Brightly coloured thorns. This is definitely eyebright. There you go. Don't get snuck up on, big fella.
My will to explore was back, so I followed the invisible ink once again. This spot up here was the tomb of a hunter.
The memorial bears the name Swaif Prior. It stirs a memory. He was one of the Drear. Theirs is a lonely life at the mercy of a dangerous addiction. They build a tolerance to the Dranthium sap in childhood that they might benefit from its potent effects. but they will die if they stop taking it.
Sounds exactly the same as my video game addiction. And that is the story of how I once again stole some mourner's flowers from a grave. Speaking of the Drea, one of them showed up at my shop.
Hello, Forrest. You have green eyes.
Forrest Vare was after some grey sandfire.
Chew it for dental hygiene? The flame-like tendrils give off a smoky scent. Oh, this stuff. This stuff, right?
Yeah, this stuff. Perhaps the most unique plant in my collection. I handed it over, and that was another happy customer to round out the day. But I didn't hit the end day button. I waited around for my will to explore to refill. I then visited the Great Oak, written in invisible ink on my map.
A huge tree stands before me, impossibly tall and wide.
Yeah, it was just a big tree, with no particular reward beyond its largeness.
So what? At first she felt free, but it wasn't long before the reality of her situation began to take its toll. She stole food when she was hungry, and slept in makeshift shelters, not knowing where she was going, not caring. Eventually she made her way to Grisdale Forest. Oh, is this the woman that started the witch cult with her weird book?
Last night's clue gave me 2 locations, and then another 2. When connected by lines, these locations formed an X. And as we all know, X marks the spot.
No, here. Crap, which one is it? This one? It's gotta be this one. Yep, that was it. The magpie. Yeah.
Clearly, I was very excited about the magpie, and that was another 2 plants on the shelf.
You were wise to pledge your support to the seeds of redemption. Together we are stronger. Now that the Dendru has awoken, the redemption is upon us. What is this about? It's a glorious time. Our deeds will be remembered for 1,000 years. Those of us that put faith in the woken Dendru will be saved, but we must act swiftly. We will be in touch soon. Praise the Dendru. Praise the Dendru. Okay, weirdo. What is the Dendru? I feel like I should know more about the thing that I'm praising.
The girl in the jade mask made another appearance, and she didn't seem to be doing too well.
My mind is clouded, dark. I see it and it sees me, all of me. Elderfinium is the answer, it must be. I will not forget those who help me.
I knew exactly what elderfinium looked like, because I'd found it using invisible ink just yesterday. And so, for better or worse, I once again aided the Jade Mask girl. This random woman dropped off another mystery for me to investigate. A note about how golden light could be found a few miles away from Long Meg, except I had no idea what or where Long Meg was, and I couldn't find it anywhere on the map. Anne Wood returned once again, and she'd successfully activated the Devil Amulet.
Anne Wood, help me! The amulet. I can't remove it and it's drawing the life from me. Oh dear. I could have warned you about that, but I didn't for some reason, I guess. Long Veracund.
For every life-sucking amulet, there's a plant that lifts curses. And after matching up the small leaves, I handed the Veracund over. Hopefully Anne Wood learns to stop opening up weird coffins.
Amos! Hey! Thanks for your letters earlier, dude. It's good to see you, my friend.
Amos brought me some notes he'd found in an overcoat belonging to my late uncle.
Oh yeah. They do mean something to me, big fella.
4 new symbols, to go with the one I'd had with me since the beginning of the game.
Wait, but how do I know the order?
I soon realized the rips on the side of each scrap of paper matched up when ordered correctly, so I spent some time shuffling them around.
That looks like the tears connect like that, I'm pretty sure.
I flipped the symbols in my desk until they matched up with the paper, and that was another achievement for opening the secret drawer.
Hey, hey, hey! We're moving now.
Inside, I found an 1813 coin from Gosforth, a business card, a letter explaining what a Briar's disc is and how to use it, and a couple of book entries. I decided to see if I could find Robert Barrow's medicinal herbology shop in the town of Kendall. Find it, I did, and we had a lengthy chat about our overlapping botanical professions. And then we decided on a trade.
It turns out Robert is a collector of unusual fungi, and I have just the thing for him. Copper Caledonian. It's almost definitely this. I'm just gonna do it without even looking. Yep.
I think I got the better end of this trade, because Robert gave me 3 new plants in exchange.
Look at the many ones that I've identified at this point. That's crazy.
Simone showed up, and she'd found something while cleaning the library.
Baylock's Elixir. Made from the crushed petals of 3 distinctive plants, Baylock's Elixir is a potent aid to memory, allowing those who drink it to ensure that they retain important information that they will never forget. Care must be taken after drinking, however, to avoid the fate of Grey Gale, who slowly lost her mind after taking Baylock's and staring at a blank wall for 12 hours. But she would have remembered what the wall looked like, that's for sure. I mean, I don't think I know how to mix these anyway. Like, where would I mix these?
Yeah, I had no way of making the elixir, but that didn't stop me trying to find the ingredients following the lead of the sketches on the bottom of the page. I was pretty sure I only had 2 of the 3 required.
Oh yeah, I was gonna see about this coin. Let's see if I can find someone in Gosforth that wants the coin.
You may recall Amos had once written of how much this town sucks, and that remained true. I did not find a use for the coin, and I suffered from rising dread thanks to the darkness hanging over Gosforth. And so ended day 8.
And north, east, south, southwest, south, south? Is that it? She was taken in by the sisterhood and given a home. It was a chance for redemption, a new start. Oh, they mentioned that one of their sisters had run away. A sister who had been like a bit of a stray. They took in and now she's run away. It's the woman in this story here that killed the leader, I think, because she had the dark book corrupting her.
My nighttime stories did indeed seem to be matching up with what was going on in my daytime exploits.
Here's Tibet. North, east, south, south, west, south, south. Yep.
Clearly I'm a genius solving these clues like lightning, and one of these new plants looked familiar.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one I just got is for the elixir. So I think that would make the elixir these three. Long Meg? Oh, yeah, I need to know about Long Meg.
Unfortunately, Simone did not know about Long Meg. She said she'd ask around. For now, I gave her some Fever Kiss, which I'd already identified earlier. David Chafer returned with another 2-word letter.
I need to get a candle from Beckfoot, an eye from Kentmere.
No, that is not what I needed to do. I tried visiting Beckfoot and once again had a lovely time, but I was missing something. The 2-word messages remained a mystery.
Next customer, Forrest, you're back, my friend. Green-eyed McGee.
Forrest had been investigating the beast seen roaming these parts.
In the old world, they called this thing the Servant, but the people here seem to have forgotten that name, except the group calling themselves the Seeds of Redemption. They are something I did not expect, and they have made it clear that they want me to stay away from the Servant. They seem to worship it. Oh dear. But I'm getting distracted. My Dranthium supplies are low. I need more. The Servant, is the Servant this evil thing that's bothering the Jade Mask person? And I'm helping it's the Dendru is the Servant, and we worship the Servant? I think I may have sided with the wrong people.
I studied the Dranthium book entry in my efforts to help Forrest get his fix, and soon identified it by its sharp leaves. I decided not to mention I'd accidentally joined a cult that worships this evil servant Dendru Dingus, and I sent Forrest on his way. Reuben Ward returned with his report about Black Comb.
Up on the fell, I found a shallow pit full of skulls. Some deer, fox badger. Yeah, I found that as well, and some human. High on the ridgeline, I saw a cowled woman wearing a jade mask, watching me, and beside her, something dark, inhuman, and bloody huge. That's the Servant, the Dendru. I don't mind admitting that I'm out of my depth on this one. Okay, so the jade woman has got to be the girl that I learn about every night. The Servant is the Dendru that's haunting her because of the book she found when she was a child. And then she's the one that ended up joining the witches' coven, but then she killed the leader, and she's also sacrificing random people, I think on the behalf of the weird Servant.
Meanwhile, he wanted something to help with his hangover, because he'd been trying to drink away the horror of what he'd seen at Black Comb. Wild coal features purple berries, but I couldn't find a single purple berry on any of my plants. Clearly I was missing something, and I wasn't able to help with Reuben's headache just yet. I had my 2-word letter clues, so I assumed one of those would lead to the required plant.
Oh, hang on. I'm trying to figure out if Gosforth and then this symbol is relevant to any of this. This is not related, I don't think. However, there's a candle here. That's what I'm missing. Beckfoot candle. Okay.
I placed the square in the middle of the disc over the Beckfoot map grid, and I clicked in a grid in the direction of the candle, but that wasn't correct. I was overthinking it. After watering my way to some more exploration, I tried clicking at the exact square the candle was pointing at.
Does it mean like at the... Maybe it just means at the edge of this. Yeah, it does.
Obviously, that was the way to do it. In fact, I had a letter from earlier that explains that's how you do it. But I guess I prefer being a trial and error goose on the loose.
To the north, the mighty Scafell Pike grazes the sky, the tallest peak in England. Oh, I'm in England? I didn't realize I was in England.
How come no one told me I was in England? Anyway, I found a plant thanks to the 2-word letter and my weird disc. And that was an achievement for finding a Briar's disc location. But the plant I found definitely wasn't wild coal. So I did some more watering and soon used the disc to knock over the Kentmere eye clue. Another plant for the collection.
And it's got purple berries. Yes!
I handed over the wild coal to Reuben and wished him good luck overcoming his alcoholism, and I was finally able to progress with the day.
I'm still confused about Long Meg though. Michael Bennett, do you know what Long Meg is?
Michael Bennett was useless relating to all matters Long Meg. He just wanted a stinky mushroom that wards off evil spirits. Apparently this ugly mushroom smells rotten, so I assumed that'd be it, but no. Turns out it was the Sunset Mount Cap, a stinky mushroom I identified several days back.
Poor Reuben, he looks a little worse for wear this morning. He took it hard when his wife died and never did quite give up the drink. I think I know what ritual was performed at the stone circle. It all adds up. It was a summoning spell. Someone called to something across the void and tried to bring it here. And with the state of that body, all torn to shreds, I'd say they succeeded. And then the Gilded Dendra. That really got me thinking. I found this in Dr. Worthing's bestiary. A little light reading for you. I'm headed to Grisdale Forest again. The Sisterhood will know more. Some call it the Woken Dendru, believing it to be related in some way to the deadly Gilded Dendra plant. Others call it the Night Stalker, the Miasma, or the Dread. But the most common name for it in the Shires is the Servant.
This was a note talking up the terrifying mythology of the Servant, and it also held the clue as to the location of a plant, to the northeast of Tibet in a land blackened by the Servant many years ago. I tried a square up in that corner, but had no luck.
I believe I may be helping some weirdos worship this evil servant. That's not good news. I probably need my seeing glass thingo. Every day she attentively followed the teachings of the Arda. Every day she patiently performed the task given to her. Every day thoughts of the book itched away at the back of her mind. Every day she got crazier and crazier.
The blank card did indeed have invisible ink. 2 miles north of Foxfield. A very easy one today. I received a letter from Simone, suggesting that a visit to Calder Abbey might yield some info about Long Meg. I headed straight to the abbey in the northwest to chat to the monks that live there.
From the darkness within, a voice proclaims only a friend may enter. Oh, what was that friendship plant again? Yeah, here we go. Fox button. Contract of friendship between strangers. Because I think the detective tried to give one of these to the witches.
You may recall the witches had rejected the friendship of the Fox button, but I hoped the monks wouldn't be so antagonistic.
Is this what you want? Speak friend and enter. Alright, beautiful.
A monk led me to their abbey's library and handed me some info on Long Meg. Basically, there was once a witch called Long Meg, who presumably had long hair, or long legs, or maybe a long nose, if the nickname was particularly insensitive. Anyway, this Long Meg and her daughters were turned to stone while trying to cast some spell. Their stone-skinned bodies form the daughters' stone circle, up north near Kentmere. Long Meg is the tallest of the stones.
Alright, so this is Long Meg. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. There. Yep.
3 miles south and 2 miles east of Long Meg, I found a plant with unusual flowers. Verona had no luck getting information out of the sisterhood.
They know of a way to defeat this servant, some ritual or weapon or something, but their stubborn pride won't bring them to ask for help.
She was going to try speak to the new Arda one more time, except this time she was going to take a mountain ash tree, which gives an aura of confidence and persuasiveness. This was an example of a plant that didn't look anything like the sketch in the book entry, but I figured out what it was by the damp smell.
Reminds me of old books, musty. Yeah, okay. This. There we go. What a mo, man. I've finished the designs you asked me to work on. What designs?
I had no idea what this moustache was talking about, but apparently I ordered some lab equipment. Or maybe my uncle did before he died.
This is one I prepared earlier. Boom. Do it. Brew. I went woo! Woo! Dude, I'm an alchemist now. What does this elixir do again? Aids memory. Alright, let's label that.
My first elixir, and another achievement. Bethany Coleman arrived, once again reluctantly asking for help.
The new Arda wouldn't like me being here, but the forest is in danger. If the Dendru has awoken, then it will come for us. You must place an offering at the altar of Arduina.
You're the witch. Why don't you place an offering at the altar of Arduina, you peanut?
Why have I gotta do it?
I soon matched the squiggle on the scrap of paper to the Grisdale Forest River on the map.
Just below the mountain. Here. Below the mountain. Okay, we're here.
It seemed Bethany cleared the way for me to reach the altar, as I didn't get attacked by any witches, and now I had a choice.
Wait, so I can choose to help Arduina or hinder?
I checked out the Ember Soul book entry first.
Give it to deities in return for sanctuary. Okay.
And I checked out the Coldry book entry.
It has applications in dark magic. Those who worship the huntress Arduina place the flower as an offering to ensure a successful hunt.
Both of the offerings would have positive results, but the situation was that the servant was likely to attack the witches. So any logical person would have offered the Ember Soul, which would result in the sisterhood being protected by Arduina.
I'm gonna give him the Coldry. Let's give the goddess the Coldry so they can hunt the servant. Maybe? Is that gonna work?
I guess I lacked a bit of logic, and I immediately regretted my choice. But on the other hand, I hoped that the witches would have godsend fighting ability to hunt the servant before it could hunt them.
I'm being harassed by loonies, shouting about the redemption. Yeah, sorry about that. Saying they're gonna set it free, whatever the hell that means. Well, they can take their seeds of whatever woken something or other nonsense and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. I'm not joining their damn cult. I just want to tend my garden in peace. That's valid. That is totally valid.
Natalie Cooper wins the award for most relatable. I'm sick of this nonsense vibes. I tracked down a spiky larkshine for her, so she could use it to shoo away any cultist idiots. And on the night of day 10, the clue card had some holes in it.
Oh, that's probably the altitude of the mountains. In time, she learned that the sisterhood had secrets, or had she always known that? Had she come to them by chance, or had she sought them out deliberately? She wasn't sure, but by now she knew what she wanted and she would do anything to get it. Oh dear.
The numbers next to the holes did indeed refer to mountain altitudes, so I found the relevant mountains and lined things up, which revealed the correct grid tile beneath the X where I found a colourful plant.
My old man reckons there's a plant what can find pots of gold buried underground.
He was after Weeping Bell, a profoundly mediocre Pokemon, and a Fool's Hope. It doesn't really help you find gold. It's also known as Golden Light, which rang a bell. I soon realised why. That was the name of the plant I'd found near Long Meg.
I can't remember what I picked up, but that was it.
Yeah, I couldn't actually remember what the plant near Long Meg had looked like, so that was useless. But when I realised the leaves on this one matched the sketch, I was able to successfully hand over the Fool's Hope. And as Aelford arrived, and he assumed I was loyal to the Seeds of Redemption cult.
One of the Drea is in town, and we know he's paid you a visit already. No doubt feeding his habit. He'll make a worthy sacrifice to the Dendru. Let's help him on his way. Oh gosh, I don't think I want to do that, man. I don't think I want to help you weirdos. But, thanks for the plant.
So I could give Forrest the yellow-flowered plant in order to kill him, if I wanted to obey the Dendru worshippers. Amos wanted to remember the code to a safe, and Balok's elixir famously locks in memories. Lucky for Amos, I had prepared one literally the moment my alchemy kit had arrived. I gave it to him, and now Amos's memory was like a vice. This random woman wanted fungus that would take her back to her childhood with its smoky smell, probably because she smoked a pack a day since age 3. I knew exactly which fungus she meant. Simone showed up and told me she'd been looking into the servant creature, but hadn't found anything. But she suggested a visit to Fremont's archives in Muncaster. I headed straight to Muncaster Castle, where I spent hours in the archives, like Gandalf, desperately searching for ancient whispers of the One Ring.
On the verge of giving up, a name grabs my attention. The Woken Dendru. Didn't Verona say that was another name for the servant? Yes. The Woken Dendru is loyal to the summoner, who becomes its master and can bend its terrible power to their will. This servant is assumed to be immortal since it has no known vulnerabilities, but that does not mean that it cannot be defeated. Many hundreds of years ago, a site of ritual importance was created near Black Combe, to the south of the Watcher, the Great Oak, and the Dendru was ousted from this world. Unfortunately, although we know that 5 plants were required for the ritual, the specific plants are not known.
So now I knew the location for a Dendru destroying ritual, I just lacked the 5 ingredients required. John Hall needed something to help him stay awake during his night shifts.
Releases spores that are invisible to the naked eye. It shows spores under an unnatural light. Oh, here we go. This one. There's your Norwood.
It was nice to get the funky looking device involved in my plant identification work, and that was the end of day 11.
When her chance finally came, she did not hesitate even for a moment. Afterwards, when the Arda was dead, she felt only elation. Years after she had first laid eyes on the book, she had what she needed. Is this the jade-faced girl? Which one was the golden light again?
I'd identified the golden light about 5 minutes earlier, but I'd already forgotten.
I think the Weeping Bell was golden light, right? L for Lamington Lixus.
I hope your Lamington doesn't lick us, that would not be ideal. But the clue wanted the first letter of the Latin name for golden light, which was indeed L, and for the map grid number, it wanted the number of petals on a lucky Caballia flower. I failed to read the word lucky.
6, so L6. L6 here. Huh? Oh, the number of petals on a lucky Caballia. The lucky Caballia is 7. Dang it, dude. I'm so dumb. Why don't I read carefully first? Yeah, the normal ones have 6, but a lucky one has 7. It's like a 4-leaf clover situation.
After some watering, I got it right, and L7 yielded 2 plants for my shelf.
Verona is back. The sisterhood was attacked last night. Bethany is dead. What? Along with the new Arda and 13 others. I should have given them the sanctuary plant so they'd be protected. I'm an idiot. No amount of pleading with them could get them to see sense, but through blind luck we have been left with a slender hope in this fight. Sister Charlotte managed to escape the slaughter with the one thing that could help in the fight against the servant. Trust no one. Keep it hidden. But get it open. If I'd given Arduina, the goddess, a sanctuary plant, they probably would have been protected from the attack. But I wanted Arduina to go on the offensive and kill the servant, but that was never going to happen, was it? I'm a fool. A fool! I need a key for this, evidently.
I was full of regret. I gave the goddess Arduina the wrong plant, and now the entire sisterhood was dead. Oh well, time for another of those 2-word letters, and some silly willies with the Briar's disc. Foxfield Trident this time.
Another plant, another day, another plant. My people have a saying, who lives without fear does not live at all. I will not say that I'm not afraid, but it would be no bad thing to die hunting such a noble adversary.
I wouldn't be so hasty to label the Dendru noble after what it just did to those witches, but I admire the courage, Mr. Vare. Also, the cult of the Dendru want me to poison you, but I won't mention that. I left that cult already. Anyway, it was just a phase.
It'll drain a person's mental faculties. It's gonna make him stupid. I'm gonna give him the Embersol. I'm gonna help him. The Ember Soul will protect him though. Flowers with many petals.
This took a bit, but I soon concluded it was this plant, as I guess that's a lot of petals, and the shape of the petals matched the sketch.
I gave him the Ember Soul.
As far as I'm concerned, doing the right thing by giving him an Ember Soul makes up for the time I joined an evil cult, and also that time I failed to protect a coven of witches.
I should have given the defensive thing to the goddess. Milton Forbes.
Milton was here to give me his business card. He owned an antique shop in Arnside, and he claimed to have quite a collection of manuscripts on elixirs. I headed straight there and found myself in a world of intrigue, full of fascinating antiques. And of course, most fascinating were the manuscripts describing some wild elixirs. I brought home notes on both the elixir of the damned and St. Quentin's elixir. I looked into St. Quentin's first.
Enable any drinker to overcome their fear. A 5-pointed leaf to grant courage. A red flower to protect the mind. A seed pod for luck.
And then the elixir of the damned.
Arbitum alacritus, maculosus retinitentia, and mens fortis. It'll bring a person back from the brink of death, but at the expense of their soul. Holy dooly.
This elixir of the damned recipe only gave me the Latin names of the plants, so I flicked through my encyclopedia on the hunt. I found the Arbitus alacritus was Caballia, and the Mens fortis was Dranthium, so I set those two plants aside. The Maculosus retinentia was the henchuck, but it didn't seem that I had that on the shelf yet.
I don't think I have this Maculosus retinentia yet.
I turned my attention to St. Quentin's, which only provided a description of the 3 plants required, so that meant even more involved encyclopedia flicking was required. For this one, I needed to read every entry carefully to find matches. The book said candlewood has a red flower and protects from afflictions of the mind. I set aside what I guessed was the correct plant. I wasn't sure what it meant by the 5-pointed leaf that grants courage, but I couldn't see any 5-pointed leaves other than this plant, so I set it aside.
Green seed pods bring good fortune. Yeah, this is it. Green seed pods.
That had to be the lucky seed pod plant described, but I was pretty sure I didn't have any green seed pod plants on my shelf. So that was all I could do for now, and it was a tentative 2 out of 3 for both new elixir recipes. I considered that some good legwork in my alchemy career, and with that I was ready to end day 12.
Equipped with the Arda's knowledge, she journeyed west to the stone circle. Unknown to her, she was not alone as she made her preparations.
This night's clue appeared to relate to the Briar's disc, except it had a double-up situation going on. 2 symbols were listed, not just one.
Raven is this, I guess. So put it on there, and then spider is this. Is that right?
Yep. 2 more plants, and one of them had juicy green seed pods.
That's the green seed pods for sure. I think it's these 3 for the elixir. St. Quentin's elixir. Let's try. Is this a disaster? Or is this genius? Alright, success.
I then investigated what would happen if I shoved 3 random plants in there, and it was not a pretty experiment, resulting in some rising dread. Grace Enright came in for a chat about the woman in the jade mask.
That creature, it's huge, unstoppable, and they say it obeys her every command. It would certainly come in helpful with my father-in-law tomorrow.
According to her, the Jade Mask woman was commanding the servant to commit all manner of evil. But when the girl had come into my store, it seemed more like she was being corrupted by force. I wasn't exactly sure what to believe. I received some mail from the bad-spelling hermit from earlier, and he'd written most of his letter in invisible ink.
Ho ho! Look to the north of Bowfell at the source of the river Esk.
I did exactly that, clicking a tile just north of Bowfell Mountain, and that was another plant courtesy of Santa. The next lady had a husband who was obsessed with eating every mushroom he finds. I can't help but admire a headstrong mushroom muncher, but she was worried he'd found poisonous mushrooms and wanted me to check, so she gave me a note, directing me where to find them. I headed there, west of Undermere across the lake on the edge of the woods, and I claimed some red-capped mushrooms. And this turned out to be a day of trivial customers, with no Dendru-related drama. Simone wanted Sweet Breath, also known as Palliance, to help get rid of mold in her library. I identified it by its short leaves and lovely fragrance. Lorena Chapman here wanted a present for her cousin's wedding, but she couldn't be bothered gathering it herself.
If you knew my cousin, you'd know she's not worth the trouble. What's Trimblehuff?
I identified Trimblehuff by its downward pointing flowers, and that was it for day 13.
The shepherd watched as she prepared the leaves and roots that she would require. He watched as the hours dragged by, the sun set, and she worked by candlelight, at times sitting still, at times moving like a dancer among the stones. The change happened suddenly, but also subtly, so that at first, the watcher was not sure that anything had happened. Then he saw it.
My nighttime story time was now up to the bit where the Jade Mask girl summoned the servant. Disturbing stuff.
This coin is from Gosforth and it's got that symbol on it, so I assume it means 8 miles to the east of Gosforth?
I'd been wondering when the random coin was going to come in handy, and this was it, as it helped me identify from where I needed to head 8 miles east.
Gazing at the still water, blah blah blah. Flowers you don't recognize. Nice.
I do like flowers.
Well, he went and ate those bloody mushrooms.
Of course he did. He wouldn't let his silly wife hold him back from mushroom glory. She wanted something to help him feel better.
Oh, I just realized you can put a plant in there. Oh crap. Not that plant. Wait, where's the love lock?
I don't know how it took me so long to think of this, but I of course had a plant that can open any lock. Once I tracked down my clavilium, I used it to open up the funky circle thingo that Verona had received from the one surviving witch.
Follow the Dudden tributary to its source. How did I not do this 5 turns ago? This is how you lift the curse. This is how you defeat the servant. First is the corpse's friend.
This thing somewhat cryptically listed the 5 plants I would need for the Dendru defeating ritual, but it was going to be a bit tricky to figure out what was what.
I'm confused.
For now, I followed the note to the end of the Dudden tributary.
I'm guessing this is the tributary.
It was indeed, and that was yet another plant on my almost full shelves. I then had a good session flicking through my strange plant book, trying to figure out which plants the circle thingo was referring to.
This is corpse's friend. Devil's Night Trap is the corpse's friend.
So I knew corpse's friend's official name, Devil's Night Trap, but I was pretty sure I didn't have it on my shelf yet.
Okay, the petals of this flower can be brewed as an antidote to Dendra's miasma, causes you to turn black. So that's the petal to secure Black Blood's reverse. Elderfinium, okay.
That was one of 5 secured. I moved it over on the far right of my shelves to keep track of it and continued my search.
Oh, here we go. Lift curses. 4th to lift a curse. It's gotta be this. Long vericund.
I moved that over to the right too. And then a couple of minutes later...
Induce fear, okay. Widow's woe induces fear. Dainty dark flowers grow out from a bed of long thin leaves. It says a damp smell. This says it has an unpleasant scent. I don't know, but I feel like it's got the leaves.
I guess a damp smell is an unpleasant smell, so I moved that over to the right too. I'd locked in 3 plants. I knew what corpse's friend was, but I couldn't find it on my shelf, and all that was left was the ankle grabber, the binder. For that, I couldn't even find a book entry, so I left it for later. Meanwhile, Thoradun was still waiting. I needed to give her some kind of medicine plant for a mushroom-obsessed husband.
The fennec eases gastric distress, so maybe that's what she wants. She wants for her husband's mushroom-induced gastro. No, that's not what she wants. Crap. My dread is rising.
My dread had risen to 1/3 earlier, and now my incorrect mushroom medicine had it up to 2/3. Any more misplays and I would die to rising dread. Or something.
Maybe it's the Gandhi root? Digestive troubles? I don't know, dude. Which one am I supposed to give to the flamin'... Oh, I'm gonna get rising dread. I'll try Gandhi root. Eases digestive troubles. Nope. Oh crap. The dread has risen. A shiver travels down my spine. My mind is broken. Oh. Shouldn't be too hard to fix though.
No, it wasn't too hard, but it still took a few minutes as I measured up the shards of my mind against each other, trying to match the cracks. Soon I was whole again.
I feel revived. My mind is whole again. I recovered from the rising dread, so... I mean, I needed that achievement, so clearly that's why I did that.
Yeah, that was definitely on purpose, because I needed the achievement.
Now I gotta try and get you what you want though. What the heck do you want? Whatever, I'm getting a hint. I'm sure I've seen a guide to poisonous mushrooms around here somewhere. Did I leave it in my lab? Oh. Why did I not notice that? I did not notice that, dude.
A guide to fatal fungi and their antidotes was just the thing I needed. Except there were 5 fatal fungi on the list.
Crap, I don't know which one it is though. It's not Copper Caledonian, it's not Bishop's Parasol, it's not Sunset Mount Cap. It might be Spring Wax Cap?
I ruled those 3 out because I remembered what they looked like from earlier. And I quickly ruled out the Spring Wax Cap too, based on its description and sketch. It seemed my red mushies were Farmer's Worry.
Made using Royal Genture, okay.
Royal Gench was indeed the antidote I needed, so I tracked that down among my labelled plants and finally sent Thoradun on her merry way, to save her mushroom-corrupted man.
Alright, carry on. Forest Vare. Oh, he's gotten cut up, dude. I have been to Blackcomb. I've fought the servant and lived, but still my adversary stands. It must be defeated. For my part, I am ashamed to say that I am done, and my soul could use the tonic of St. Quentin's elixir if I'm ever to recover from the horror that I have seen. It'll get rid of his sense of fear, that's what it does. Okay.
Check out how many archived pages I had by this point. But yes, St. Quentin's would fortify Forrest after his fearful encounter, and I'm pretty sure he only survived because of the embersol I gave him, so it could have been worse.
There is a hateful man I sometimes see around town. He's called Isidore Burbage, yep. Yesterday I saw him bending down as though to pet a stray dog, but instead he punched it as hard as he could. Sagil Chalice. Alright, bring it on, baby.
I whipped out my Briar's disc and quickly tracked down yet another prize.
Deadly looking plant, okay. Oh yeah, it looks like a nippy one. I'll bite your big toe off. Reuben Ward. Oh, Reuben, you are looking worse for wear, fella.
I don't know if I was going crazy, but at this point it seemed like all the characters had extra dark eyeshadow on and were looking more run down, perhaps due to the Dendru's influence. Anyway, Reuben had heard I was working towards finding 5 plants for the anti-servant ritual, and he had a book entry for me.
Swift snare. Oh yeah, the ankle grabber. Small heart-shaped leaves. I feel like this could be the ankle grabber. Like, imagine that grabbed your ankle. Sad day.
There was only one unidentified plant with heart-shaped leaves, but I didn't think it was a clear match, so I set it aside as a maybe. This guy wanted a gift for his grandma, Sweet Breath, aka Palliance, which I dealt with earlier. And then Ennis Aylford turned up to tut-tut about how I'd failed in my cult activities. The Drear Forest Fair was still alive. Yeah, nah, I'm leaving the cult. What are you gonna do about it, Buffhead?
If you are not with us, then you are against us. When the redemption comes, and it will come, you will regret your actions. Praise the Dendru. Sorry, fella.
And with the end of day 14, the nighttime story time was just about at its climax.
Behind the woman, a dark skeletal figure began to rise, and a low primal snarl sounded across the clearing. The shepherd turned and ran, cold fear coursing through his veins. He did not run for long.
So the murder at the Swinside Stone Circle hadn't been a sacrifice. It was a shepherd who had been hanging around out of curiosity when the servant had been summoned. That's a rookie mistake. Do not hang out near demonic summoning rituals.
West of White Scar by the river. There's White Scar by the river. Yep, from the chest of the skeleton, a plant grows. Thanks, fella. Thanks for nourishing my plant.
A plant grown with the aid of heart as fertilizer. Most excellent. And this new plant had distinct leaves that I recognized.
That reminds me of something. It reminds me of this. The way the leaves look has a soft aroma that reminds me of a pine forest. Not dissimilar to pine needles. Yeah, it is. It's Devil's Night Trap. It's the corpse's friend.
That was another one locked in for the anti-servant ritual. Great news. Except one of the other plants I'd placed down this end had disappeared somehow, so I was confused.
Wait, where did that other plant I put here go? Amos is back. Yes!
I do love a good letter from my pen pal Amos. This time he told me of a strange plant that grows in a cave east of Arnside.
Somewhere to the east of Arnside is a cave. I mean, it's got to be White Scar Cave. There's a problem. A large boulder blocks the entrance. Too heavy to move. I need Farmer's Worry for that.
My plant knowledge was popping off. Farmer's Worry gives you a temporary burst of strength, and I knew that straight off the top of my head. I yoinked the boulder out of the way and entered the cave to claim 2 fungi.
Why can't I remember? There was something important. I know there was, but there is only darkness now.
I tracked down Sour Bandy, judging by its big yellow stamen and bitter odor, and handed it over to Faye to help with her memory.
It happened in a dream. The woman in the jade mask was screaming at me to get out. Instead, I went deeper. I entered the mind of the creature. It was like slipping into a dark pool, icy cold with who knows what terrors lurking beneath the surface. I felt powerful. Then suddenly something happened. She tore me out and my mind went dark. I have not been myself lately. Yeah, your eyes don't look good, dude.
Alden Gregory showed up next.
My wife of 30 years is dying. That is the truth of it, as painful as it is to say out loud.
Alden couldn't cope with that. He wanted an elixir of the damned.
Are you sure you want the elixir of the damned for your wife? At the expense of her soul? I don't think you wanted zombie for a wife, you big dingus.
But who am I to argue? The customer is always right. I'd found 2 of the 3 plants needed earlier. I just needed the henchuck.
Tuberous bulb that's blue-green. That's got a bluey-green... Well, it's not really green, is it? I guess it's mostly blue, but it is firm. Let's try these guys. Dranthium, I'm pretty sure that's the 3rd one. We working? Yep. I guess I'll give you the elixir of the damned, mate. Good luck.
Good luck with turning your wife into a vacant vessel. That seems worse than death, but anyway, this woman wanted liverstone, a pointy fungi. I obliged, of course. And then the girl at the center of all the drama showed up once again.
Oh, the Jade Mask Weirdo is here. Oh dear. I can't control it anymore. This has all gone too far. I never meant for it to turn on my sisters. It's too strong. I'm trying to hold it back, but it wants to kill. That's all it wants. Death, 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 and more death. You have to help me. Oh man, okay, what do I do here?
Based on what she was saying, she was somewhat of a victim, trying to resist the evil.
Dead Man's Fingers strengthens resolve and sharpens the mind. Widow's Woe induces fear. So I give her strength or I induce fear?
Obviously, giving her a strong resolve and sharp mind would help her resist the Dendru, and giving her fear would not. But what if she was tricking me? What if she was actually in league with the Dendru, and the smart choice was to weaken her with fear? Ultimately, I decided I would strengthen her by giving her Dead Man's Fingers. But I couldn't see the weird plant anywhere on my shelves.
I don't know if I have that though. Oh, hang on. The dead ground northeast of Tebe where nothing but black digitious mortis grows, yeah.
I failed to click on the right tile in the northeast, so I watered for a bit and tried again. And this time I actually clicked directly northeast of the town, and the weird ugly black finger plant was mine.
Alright, I'm gonna give her the dead man's fingers, which supposedly gives resolve, and hopefully, I mean, she wants to resist the evil. Hopefully this actually helps, and doesn't somehow make it worse. Hollis Gibb? There's been talk over the last few nights down in the Royal Oak of a servant creature going around slaughtering people.
Hollis Gibb was too scared to leave his house, considering recent events, and he wanted a pixie lamp for the feng shui of his home. I didn't bother looking that one up. The glowy green mushroom had to be the pixie lamp, and yes indeed.
Another day. I feel like I'm eating through the days now. She finally had the power she had craved all these years, a servant to do as she willed, but that power came at a cost. The servant was awoken, and it would not be contained. It was the Dendru, the dread. It was death. Yeah, I'm confused. I feel like the story is suggesting that she controls the servant, but at the same time it seems the servant's controlling her. To the east of the castle. Which castle?
This one stumped me for a couple of minutes, as there are a few castles around the map, but I soon spotted the answer.
Oh, it might be this castle, right? River, mountain pass, edge of the wood. Gotcha. A sense of calm washes over me and I get a new prize. Beautiful. Oh, hang on. It moves fast for a plant. It's got lots of little love heart thingos. I think this is the ankle grabber. I think I got 4 of the 5 that I need to defeat the servant at this point, don't I? Verona Green is back. It is time. The servant is on the move again. Time to act. Meet me at the ritual site. Oh crap. I hope for all our sakes that you've been able to track down all the plants we need.
Suddenly, it was time to confront the enemy, and I found that to be a mildly stressful prospect. Also, I had one more plant to find.
This is definitely the corpse's friend. This is definitely the ankle grabber. The long vericund is the one that lifts curses. The elderfinium is an antidote for Black Blood's reverse. Widow's Woe. I think it was Widow's Woe is the one that induces fear. Yeah. It's got an unpleasant scent, dainty dark flowers from a bed of thin leaves.
I believe this is the one I found earlier, but it somehow moved away from the edge of the shelf, so I'd lost track of it. So I had to redo that legwork. But soon I was about 95% confident that I had the 5 correct plants for the ritual. As is customary, I didn't read carefully and I thought the ritual would happen at the Great Oak, so I went there for no reason.
Is that not the ritual site? Near Black Comb to the south of the Watcher. Oh, okay. Just to the south. So we're gonna go do this ritual, but just before the ritual, I've given the Jade Mask girl a plant that gives her focus and determination. Is that gonna be good for us or bad for us? Hopefully she can betray the servant. Alright, I wanna go just south of the Great Oak, I guess? Here? Yep, a small stone shrine sits off to one side of the clearing. 5 grooves run out from the center of the stone, widening into recesses at the base. 5 slots for 5 plants. True. Alright, let's hope we got this right. The elderfinium, which detects the black blood. The long vericund, which I can't remember what it does. The corpse's friend. The ankle grabber. And I'm pretty sure this is the one that induces fear. Okay, well done. I will take it from here. I stand back and watch as Verona walks around the shrine, muttering soft incantations. It feels like a long time passes before she looks up, but in reality it was perhaps only 10 minutes. Nothing's happening. What do you mean nothing's happening? Have we got the right plants? I think so. Perhaps we just need to be patient. A loud noise behind us makes us all jump. Turning around, I see something that makes my blood run cold. The woman in the jade mask is walking calmly and slowly towards us from the other side of the clearing. Yeah, she tricked me. I knew that I was getting conflicting messages, and yet I trusted her. Behind her, standing tall and terrifying, is the black silhouette of the servant. He's a big, handsome fella, isn't he? What a good-looking rooster. What was that about being patient? I think we're out of time. Do not be afraid. I'm here to surrender willingly. Okay, maybe she didn't trick me. The servant cannot be allowed to... Ah! The creature lunges forward and brings a huge arm scything towards her. Her scream pierces the cold air and she drops to her knees, clutching her head. But the blow seems to glance off to one side as it comes hurtling down and the beast's claw ends up embedded in the dirt instead of the woman's back. I can't hold it much longer. You need this. She throws a small vial of red liquid which Ruben deftly catches and holds up to the light. Blood. Quickly, I know what to do. Verona grabs the vial and fumbles to get the stopper out as she turns back to the shrine. The servant has its huge arm free again and is slowly advancing with strange, jerking movements. Verona pours the blood into a small cavity in the shrine and everything seems to happen at once. A pillar of bright white light launches out of the shrine towards the servant and hits it in the chest. The huge beast shrieks and staggers backwards, drowning out the screams of the woman in the jade mask who is clutching her head and writhing in agony on the ground. Whoa! There is an almighty thunderclap and a blinding flash of light, and suddenly the servant is gone. A patch of charred ground smolders where it stood just moments before. My head is spinning at what has just happened. Did it work? Have we defeated the servant? Sounds like it worked. Holy moly. With the dust settled and the servant vanquished, I have been able to reflect on the events of the last few weeks. We were fortunate that Thea was able to stay in control of the beast for as long as she did. If I'd given her the fear plant, she would have just caved and wouldn't have helped us, and the servant would have taken over the universe, I guess. Undermere has never felt so jubilant, so full of life. They do not know the whole truth, of course, that Thea, the woman in the jade mask, was the one who summoned the servant. I promised Ruben that I would leave it to him to unravel that mess. She is his daughter, after all. What the heck? Oh, the story did say that her father had turned to drink and Ruben was a bit of an alcoholic. There you go. And as for myself, well, I'm back in the calm of Strange Horticulture, of course, with Hellball for company. It's quieter around here, but I'm content, and there are always more plants to learn about and discover. The Sleeping Dendru. It is done. The servant can go back to being a dark story for dusty shelves. That was ending 2, Elder Finium. Bethany Coleman died. Yeah, because I failed to protect the witches, so Bethany Coleman died. Girl in the Jade Mask is ashamed, unlikely to recover from the trauma. And Isidore Burbage is pursuing legal action against Strange Horticulture. Come on, man. You dirty dog. I got banished to perform the ritual, and I got ending complete the game, but I'm still missing 6 achievements.
I had a little more work to do, as I found myself in the post-game with 17 more plants to identify. To begin, a note and clue had materialized out of nowhere. I first followed the clue.
Triangle is for a mountain, and the circles are for towns. 2 towns next to each other by 1 grid. Here we go. So it's these 2 towns, that mountain, that town. So we're gonna go 1 and then 2 here. Boom.
That got me another plant. I rang the bell and Simone Green showed up, and she wanted me to identify a list of plants for her.
So I'm going to help her identify plants, and that's going to be the mechanism to get the 17 remaining.
Before cracking on with that, I followed this note relating to the mysterious monastery of the Black Veil. I headed to Ravenglass to talk to a bloke about it, and he gave me an elixir recipe and another note directing to where he'd seen the monastery. For the elixir, I needed Leaf of the Storian, Dark Flower of the Tomb, and Stench of the Twilight. So I spent quite a while flicking through my book and looking with my magnifying glass. For the Storian, I was after some dark red fruit. For the Tomb, I was after a lovely fragrance. And for the Twilight Lepiota, I needed a foul stench and pretty flower.
I think that's Twilight. I think that's Tomb. I think that's the Storian. Make an elixir. I hope for the best. Oh dear. Nope. I am wrong.
I corrected that mistake. I'd mixed up the lovely smelling tomb with some other flower. And this time I managed to successfully cook up the Black Veil elixir.
Wait, that helped me identify 3 plants? Oh good. You were heading west, you crossed 2 rivers, you followed the river for a while. Like, I don't understand, where's the starting point? Like, where's the monastery supposed to be in all of this? I'm so confused. Here? Oh, I found it.
Some goobers with black face coverings appeared and demanded the special juice. So I of course gave them the special juice. A freshly brewed Black Veil elixir. My reward was every single remaining book entry I needed. And with that I had a complete encyclopedia, along with every single plant in the game on my shelves. All I had to do was identify the remaining 14 with the help of Simone.
Alright, we're moving now. We're schmoving and schnooving and doovin. Moonlight flower is dark. This one? Dark purple flowers. It looks like this. Boom.
Simone hung around, and it was one identification after the other. And you know the drill. I looked at sketches, I sniffed to detect various scents, I paid attention to leaf and petal shape, to colors, to waxiness or stiffness or sharpness or floppiness, and about 10 minutes later, I was almost done.
Carnivorous torrent. That's gotta be this. You don't even need to talk to me about anything else. Carnivorous, and it looks like it eats things. Done. This one over here is the last one. I thought I'd already identified that one, but apparently not. There we go, that's all of them. 77 out of 77, nice. Sweet, so that's identify all the plants. Wasn't a drawn out experience, I knocked them over pretty quickly there.
Now it was time to fire up another playthrough, because I needed 2 more endings, and these alternate endings are hugely different and somewhat unhinged. I also needed to beat the game without touching the hint button, and I needed to make a couple of different choices along the way to earn 2 more achievements. I zoomed through, collecting from the map and identifying plants as fast as I could. After just a couple of minutes, it was day 2, and Burbage was here complaining that I made him rashy.
Alright, so this time I want to give him Meekju. Butterdale is like a good soothing one, but this time he needs some of that Meekju, which is this. And Hopefully it makes him so itchy.
Fast forward to day 4, and I chose a different option when dealing with Faye.
Alright, so this time I'm gonna give Faye the candlewood. Candlewood will protect her against the affliction of the mind. So I won't learn the information this time, I guess.
Last time I made her more psychic, so she had even more intense dreams. This time I numbed her senses.
So Faye Swift is thanking me this time. Last night, for the first time in weeks, my mind was calmed. I am no longer tormented by visions of the woman in the jade mask and that terrible monster.
On day 5, Isidore Burbage returned, rather cranky.
Okay, he's back. He's back for more. And he's got so many rashes all over him. I'm on my way to the mayor's office to file an official request that your business license be revoked. You will practice your witchcraft on the residents of Undermere no longer. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Storian or Henchuck? Okay, so what are my options here? Okay, so Henchuck will result in memory loss. The Storian is highly poisonous. Well, I know what I must do because there's a particular achievement I'm going for. He hates me and doesn't trust me, so I don't know why he would take this plant, but I guess I'm shoving it in his mouth. I'm shoving a Storium straight in his mouth because I wanted this achievement. Murder Burbage. Burbage is not a good bloke, but I'm not sure murder was the answer, but I mean, if the achievements tell you to.
On the morning of day 6, a character I'd never met before showed up.
Uh-oh. I think I may have a consequence here. Good morning, I'm looking into the disappearance of Isidore Burbage. Maybe this time he went too far. I could count on one hand the list of people who didn't hate his guts. Got a witness says he came in here yesterday evening. You don't mind if I take a look around? Okay. Well, I couldn't find anything, but do let me know if you remember anything unusual. Well, there was that time I gave him a deadly plant and like shoved it deep into his nostrils. Do you think that's important information? No? You gonna sidle back into the shadows? Okay, I guess I'm in the clear.
When Annis Aylford from the Seeds of Redemption cult showed up, I joined the cult again, except this time I intended to remain faithful. Fast forward to day 10, and I was back at Arduina's altar.
Time for an offering to the goddess Arduina. Last time I gave Coldry because it gives offensive properties and I thought maybe Arduina could fight the servant. Bad idea. This time I'm giving Embersol because the servant is planning to wipe out the witches. I should have done this the first time. This time we get it right.
I was absolutely blasting through this playthrough, by the way, completing it about 4 times quicker than the first go round.
Bethany Coleman's back. She didn't get slaughtered. It came for us. We were attacked in the night by the servant. In all my time in the forest, I've never experienced anything like what happened that night. The forest came alive and drove the beast back. Arduina saved us. It's the only explanation that makes sense. One thing is clear, we cannot do this alone and we must not allow the servant to get its hand on what it's looking for.
Rather than the locked circle thingo coming to me from a decimated sisterhood, it came from a grateful, safe sisterhood, and I earned an achievement for protecting them.
Okay, here he is. Now this time, I hate doing it, but I'm gonna side with the crazy cultist. I'm gonna kill this guy, so I gotta give him Lesser Meridoc. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, but I'm going the evil route. I need to get different endings.
Instead of giving him a protective plant, I poisoned his mind, so he was sure to be destroyed by the servant. Meanwhile, Faye showed up with a bright idea.
When your librarian friend visits tomorrow, give her this instead of the palliance that she will ask for. She knows something that she's not telling you. So if you protect Faye Swift from the dreams, the story's completely different.
Yeah, when you shield Faye's mind early in the game, she gets up to completely different mischief, challenging you to trick your friend Simone.
So this is when she was claiming she didn't know anything about the servant. Belial of Neptune is a truth-sayer, so it'll force him to tell the truth.
I gave it to her, and she immediately spoke freely.
I didn't want to mention this, but Fremont gave me something else from his archives. A recipe for an elixir. It's the key to the link to the servant. In theory, it would be possible to wrest control of it from the woman in the jade mask, in theory, but the only records I was able to find are hundreds of years old, and even if it works, what then? The power that can be wielded through the Woken Dendru is too great for any one person. We should stick to the sisterhood's ritual.
Simone was speaking wisely, but I was on a different path this playthrough, and now I had a new elixir to play with, the Elixir of Control. I brewed it immediately.
Boom, the Elixir of Control. So do I use the Elixir of Control to end the game instead? There was a hateful man I used to see around town, Isidore Burbage he was called. I heard a rumor he got involved with a cult and they sacrificed him, but I don't know if that's true. Well, he was a villain who deserved what he got as far as I was concerned. Yeah, that's what happened to Isidore Burbage. Well, let's roll with that.
Reuben Ward showed up to tell me another body had shown up at Black Combe. Forrest Vare. Yeah, that was my fault.
I feel bad, I killed Forrest. I can't believe it.
Ennis showed up to explain that the fruition of our great culty plans was almost at hand.
The redemption is at hand. We need you to prepare this elixir. With it, we will lure the Woken Dendru back to where this started, this Windside Stone Circle. The Dendru is a god A god perverted by humanity, enslaved by mankind's wickedness and bent to its evil will. Imagine the glory it will bestow upon us when we set it free. Praise the Dendru. The praise the Dendru weirdos are kind of twisting it that he wouldn't be evil if he hadn't been corrupted by humanity, is that right?
I cooked up the Dendru's elixir, and I now had 2 new ways to approach the end of the game.
I haven't forgiven you for whatever it was you gave me the other day. I should have destroyed that elixir recipe when I had the chance. Whatever happens, you must not allow it to fall into the wrong hands.
With that warning ringing in my ears, I laid the groundwork for the 2 endings I needed to knock over for the achievements by giving the girl with the jade mask Widow's Woe, which meant that instead of strong, she would be fearful for the final confrontation tomorrow.
I understand it now. My mind is linked to the servant. With the elixir, I will be able to throw out the woman in the jade mask and take control for myself. Meet me at the Daughter's Stone Circle tomorrow and bring the elixir. Okay, so I have 2 options.
I wasn't so sure Faye Swift had pure intentions. She sounded a little power hungry.
I can go to the Daughter's Stone with Faye with the control elixir, and we can take control of the servant. Or I can go to the Swinside Stone Circle and we can free, theoretically, the servant from bondage, which probably ends the universe.
Suddenly, it was day 16, the final day. Verona showed up telling me to go to the ritual site, but of course in this playthrough that wasn't to be my destiny. I decided to head north.
I'm gonna go to the Daughter's Stone Circle and meet up with Faye. The Stone Circle is an impressive sight. Faye arrives sometime after me. Do you have the elixir? It's now or never. Suddenly, Simone's warning comes back to me. What do I really know about this Faye? Perhaps it would be safer to take the elixir myself. I could use Swift Snare to bind her. I realize I have a decision to make. I'm gonna bind her because that's what I need to do for the achievement, but also I don't really trust her. The Swift Snare catches Faye unaware, latching onto her slowly at first, but then as she struggles to break free, it binds tighter. Within moments, she is still, her eyes piercing me with fearsome hatred. There's no backing out now. I will drink the elixir myself. Let's do it. The elixir tastes foul, like rotting fruit, but I force it down and somehow keep hold of the contents of my stomach. At first, nothing happens, but my pulse quickens as I begin to feel it take hold. It's as though I'm in 2 places at once, my mind swirling as it grapples with a dizzying new reality. And then the barrier is broken and everything floods through. I sense fear, and I'm surprised to find that it is not my own. It is the woman in the jade mask, Thea Ward. I realize that I can brush her aside with ease, and suddenly, there it is. A seductive darkness that I am part of, and it of me. I am the Dendru, the dread. I am death. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so I don't think that was a good ending.
Yeah, definitely not a good ending.
The achievement to be the Dendru and take control and become completely evil, and then also finishing without using the hint button. Very nice.
I reloaded back at the start of day 16 because there was one more ending I needed to get.
Now for the cultist ending, we go to the Swinside Stone Circle. When I arrive at the stone, look at these guys. When I arrive at the Stone Circle, Aelford is already waiting for me. Did you bring the elixir? We only have 1 chance at this. It has to be now. So this is gonna free the Dendrus somehow? I hand over the bottle of brown liquid and Aelford snatches at it greedily. The redemption is at hand, my brothers and sisters. Praise the Dendru. Bring forth the receptacle. A shallow iron bowl is brought forward and placed in front of Aelford. As he chants softly, a thin tendril of grey smoke begins to ascend, slowly at first, and then rising with his voice, stronger and stronger until it is a whirling vortex, 20 feet high. It is done. Now we wait. An hour later,
the servant of course showed up, and you can probably see where this is going.
The servant is so handsome, dude. O glorious one, in your name we set you free. Drink the offering and become redeemed. No, you don't know what you're doing. It must not be set free. The servant starts to move, slowly creeping forward in shuffling steps. The woman focuses hard, straining against an invisible force, but it is no use. She cannot stop the steady progress of the creature. Yes, yes, drink. You are no servant, you must be free. The congregation watches in open-mouthed adoration as it pours the brown liquid down its throat. No! She screams and runs forward, but with lightning speed the creature spins round and a claw flashes out, cleaving her in 2 across the chest. She is dead before she hits the ground. The group of watchers cheer in response, but their elation dies on their breath as the servant turns to face them and lets out a menacing growl. Do not be afraid, it is done. The woken Dendru will be a slave no more, and we will sit at its right hand as its redeemers. We kneel before you, O glorious one. Aelford sinks to his knees, and behind him the others hesitantly begin to do the same. It is the last thing they do. In moments the beast is upon them, slashing and slicing with its powerful front limbs, ripping and tearing with its huge jaws. Standing off to one side, I await my fate, rooted to the spot by fear. The servant rears its massive head and shrieks, a piercing primal roar, and with that, it is gone, crashing away through the trees. I guess I have plot armor because there has to be a post-game. Yeah, so I don't think that was a good ending either. Wait, what the heck? I'm now the leader of the Seeds of Redemption? That's ending 8? There are 8 endings at least?
Bringing about the redemption was the final achievement. And yes, there are 4 ending scenarios, and each of those 4 can go one of 2 ways, resulting in 8 different endings. It depends which plant you give the girl with the jade mask on day 15. If you give her strength, you can do the ritual successfully to banish the Dendru, like I did in my first playthrough. But if you give her fear, the ritual is still successful, but I think that she and maybe Ruben die in the process. When trying to control the Dendru with the elixir of control, if the Jade Mask woman has strength, you fail. You can also choose to let Faye control the Dendru, and then she becomes the evil one, or you can also fail at that if the Jade woman has strength. And we saw the cultist ending when the Jade woman was fearful, but if she has strength during the Seeds of Redemption ending, she commands the servant to kill all of the cultists.
Based on that, I'm pretty sure I got the best ending the first go round.
Although I did let all the witches die, so that was a whoopsie.
That is 100% complete.